Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. You guys ever notice how the left's entire worldview is built on projection? They scream about threats to democracy while actively ignoring the violent extremism coming from their own side. They call us dangerous, yet they've built a culture that rewards emotional instability, radicalism, and political violence. And I don't think I'm being hyperbolic or exaggerating or being hyperpartisan. No, I think this is just observable reality. It's the objective reality. I mean, just yesterday we were talking about the perverse reward system within the Democrat Party, how the more unhinged you act, the more they prop you up as a hero. The Democrat Party is set up in a way to reward extremism. That's where the projection is. That's what makes them such incredible hypocrites, because they're constantly trying to label the right as being a danger to democracy. Those white supremacist Trump supporters are the biggest domestic terror threat to the country, they claim. Yet it's their people who seem to be the only ones engaging in domestic terrorism. And once again, we're able to make that connection, that direct connection between left-wing rhetoric, the stuff that's being promoted on MSNBC, and the latest domestic terrorist who just got caught and arrested, an individual who goes by the name of Paul Hyun Kim, the suspected Tesla arsonist. Yeah, it's now confirmed. He wasn't some sort of pyromaniac with no clear motive. No, his motive was quite clear. It was absolutely political. In other words, he's a product of the extreme left-wing rhetoric. And we got the receipts to prove that, as all of his social media accounts and posts have now been found and exposed. Let me show you guys exactly what's going on here. We got some stuff to get into. So let's roll the tape. Alright folks, so the Tesla terrorist has been identified, he's been revealed, and you're not going to be shocked at all by some of the stuff that this guy was posting. Let's put his photo here on screen. This is Paul Hyun Kim. He's the guy who's now being accused of firebombing a Tesla dealership in Las Vegas, and it's now confirmed that he's exactly who you thought he'd be, a radicalized leftist lunatic, basically perfectly fitting the mold. I want to give a huge shout out to Kanekoa the Great, because he went and found all the receipts and put it all together in this incredible thread here. So yeah, this guy's social media presence is pretty much textbook. Years of leftist brain rot, deranged resistance posting. Let's go through a few of the greatest hits here. Back in 2020, this guy was sharing a bunch of pro-BLM posts, cheering on the Minneapolis City Council's plan to abolish the police, praising protesters who shut down highways. He called MAGA and All Lives Matter people racists. Back during the pandemic, he posted Newsweek and Vice articles saying people who didn't wear masks were essentially sociopaths. He even at one point doxed Derek Chauvin's address. There's also another post where he shared a list of, quote, traitors after January 6th, basically promoting vigilante justice. So just a quick little overview of some of this guy's posts. In other words, he's a full-blown Reddit leftoid. What a surprise. And now here he is, torching Teslas. What we are seeing is the product of leftist programming. It's why their rhetoric is so dangerous. It's like I've said forever. There's a lot of unstable people out there in the world, and that's why you gotta be responsible with your rhetoric. You know, if you're constantly screaming from the mountaintops that we're facing an existential threat of fascism, that Donald Trump and his fascist minions are overtaking government, or that Elon Musk is attempting a coup on the US government, if you're being extremely hyperbolic in your rhetoric and constantly painting this picture as if it's life or death and calling for resistance or to fight, well, you know, most people will be able to look at that and say, okay, well, they're being a little bit hyperbolic, they're being dishonest, it's all politics, it's all games. You know, most people will be able to see right through it, but some people aren't that smart. They're not that socially adapted or mentally stable enough to be able to see through it, and they fall for it hook, line, and sinker. And those people then get radicalized by that rhetoric, and that's exactly what we're seeing here. People being programmed by this cult-like narrative where disagreeing politically makes you a literal Nazi. That's a threat to democracy. The media creates that narrative, and then people get radicalized to the cause. And this is what the left has been doing for a very long time. And the worst part is, they refuse to take a step back. No, they cause all this violence, they radicalize these people, and then they defend and justify and attempt to cover up for them. That's what we saw during the BLM riots, right? Where the left mobilized their minions to burn cities down to the freaking ground, and then after the fact, the mainstream media was running cover for them, saying, well, you know, these are mostly peaceful protests. Meanwhile, cities were burning directly behind them. It's the same media that cheered on when statues were being ripped down, when cop cars were being torched, businesses destroyed. They turn a blind eye when violence comes from the left and actively distract and cover up by claiming, well, you know, It's just a protest. It's just resistance. We can't look at all the damage, the lives lost. We need to focus on where the rage is coming from. They're fighting for a noble cause. Well, now it's basically the exact same thing. They've mobilized these Tesla terrorists to attack and intimidate Elon Musk because Elon Musk is doing something that they disagree with. And as the violence is now being perpetrated on a mass scale, what do they tell you? Oh, well, it's not domestic extremism. It's just resistance.
So when they do it to a Tesla dealership, it's really bad. But when they do it to the halls of Congress, we should pardon them. Is that your position?
He said today he would label violence against dealerships domestic terrorism. Now, you know I am judicious in how I play this sound.
If you are attacking Teslas or dealerships, going beyond vandalism, that could be an act of domestic terrorism. But I do want to ask about this as resistance.
I was trying to stop the U.S. government, and I was protesting against what the U.S. government had done. I was
Were you occupying buildings?
I was protesting.
Were you fomenting violence?
I was doing what that.
Were you inciting others to engage in violence?
I was doing what that statute
Were you
says.
chasing
I was
people
against
around?
U.S. foreign policy.
Were you
at the
intimidating
time.
people?
Okay,
we were shutting down streets.
Yeah, they want to pretend as if this isn't domestic terrorism. Oh, they're just isolated incidents. It's not organized. It's just a protest. They're just practicing their right to free speech and their constitutionally protected right to assemble and protest. Give me a break. Since when is firebombing a dealership constitutionally protected speech? Since when is arson a peaceful protest? It's unbelievable, but this is what they do. They rewrite definitions, they shift goalposts, all in an effort to protect their own. But the reality is, they are encouraging and enabling violence, they're inciting violence, and they lack the morality to condemn it, or say the right thing, or call off their hounds. And that's why it keeps happening. Let's not forget the long list of radical leftists who've gone violent in recent years. Just off the top of my head, we have the trans shooter who targeted Christians in Tennessee. We got the Bernie bro who shot up a baseball field trying to assassinate a Republican congressman. We got the guy who tried to assassinate Justice Kavanaugh after the Roe v. Wade decision. The lunatics who are firebombing crisis pregnancy centers. Not to mention the 2 assassination attempts on Donald Trump's life during the election season. And that really just scratches the surface. Well, each and every one of those individuals had social media accounts or manifestos essentially spouting the exact same garbage that you hear on MSNBC basically every night. And the question I'm asking is, show me the equivalent on the right, because the left's always pointing the finger, right? Oh, the right wing is so extreme and violent. They're a bunch of domestic terrorist threats. Where is the right wing equivalent to these kinds of acts? Show me somebody who watches Tucker Carlson or reads Breitbart and then goes out and bombs a dealership or shoots up a school. It doesn't exist. And if it ever did, you'd be sure that the media would never frickin' shut up about it. It'd be front page for the next 20 years. But when leftists do it, and do it repeatedly, consistently, it's silence, or worse, way worse, excuses and deflection. This is a uniquely left-wing problem. It's a Democrat problem. And if you ask me, I'm gonna go there, I'm just gonna say it. The Democrat establishment, the left-wing radicals in the Democrat Party, and the left-wing radicals in the Democratic media have blood on their hands. You can't just radicalize a population with doomsday rhetoric. Trump is literally Hitler. Democracy is at stake. The Supreme Court is illegitimate. The country is run by white supremacists. And then act all shocked when crazy people take that rhetoric to heart and become violent. This is what you have built. The left has essentially created a monster, and it's obvious that they don't even want it to stop. They're not interested in stopping it. It's almost as if this was part of their plan. Either that, or they're such incredible cowards, or they lack the basic moral clarity and moral compass to actually say the right thing and condemn their own side, or admit that they were wrong and what they're doing is inciting violence. It's pure and simple. It's another example to add to the list. The left is the party of radicalism, the party of crime, the party of domestic terrorism, the party of inciting violence. Basically everything they accuse the right of, they themselves are actually guilty of. Anyways, that's pretty much what I got for you guys on this one. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.